I'm excited to give my first talk. Slightly nervous, but we'll get through it, right? So let's open up. My talk is about wisdom, and ask for it, walk in it. So if we could open up with a Bible verse, Mark, if you wouldn't mind.
That's why I brought me. 1 Kings, chapter 3, verses 5 through 14. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" And Solomon said, "You have shown great mercy to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with you. You have continued this great kindness for him, and you have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king instead of my father David, but I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Therefore give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours?" The speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. Then God said to him, "Because you have asked this thing, and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice, behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall any like you arise after you. And I have also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my ways, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days."
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. So there are many great examples in the scripture of the wisdom of Solomon. And for today, I wanted to dig deep so that we might get to the root of all that. In other words, what was actually the wisest moment for Solomon, which set up the rest. In 1 Kings chapter 3, verses 5 through 14, which Mark just read, this is it. And this is the moment when Solomon went for the ask. He asked God for wisdom. When Solomon used this wisdom in his life, it guided him well, very, very well. What if there were a single question that you could ask yourself that would guide just about every decision you need to make in your personal life and in your role as a leader in an organization? A question that would bring clarity and fresh insight for every choice you have to make. A question that would pierce the fog of self-deception and erase all those shades of gray that cloud your reasoning. A question that would sidestep the waste of effort and prevent useless regret, foolproofing every aspect of your life. I believe there is such a question, and whether you lead a church, a business, a nonprofit, or some other kind of organization, I believe you can use this question in all aspects of your life to help you reach your fullest potential. So the question is, that will set you up for success when it counts: what is the wise thing to do? I know that doesn't sound very revolutionary, but trust me, at least I believe it is. Because you see, when you usually are faced with a decision, we ask ourselves, is there anything wrong with this course of action? If it's not illegal, unethical, or immoral, then it must qualify as a live option. We can all think of companies and even whole sectors in the for-profit and not-for-profit worlds that have been built on the question, is there anything wrong with it? The problem is that this question can lead to terrible decisions, and it creates a bubble that will eventually burst. But the biggest problem with "is there anything wrong with it" approach is that it usually leads to people trying to get as close to the line as they can without actually doing something wrong. And once that happens, you're on your way to thinking, how did I get myself and my organization into this position? A much better question to ask is, what is the wise thing to do? The question gets at not what is permissible, but what is right, what is best, what would most please God in any given situation. Asking this question, arriving at the right answer, and acting upon that can set loose a cascade of positive results in a leader's life and in the lives of all of those who are depending on him or her for direction. The Gospel according to Luke records a closing remark by Jesus in response to a series of accusations made against himself and John the Baptist. In Luke chapter 7, verse 35, the New King James Version, "But wisdom is justified by all her children." The John MacArthur Bible Commentary notes the following regarding this verse 35. True wisdom is vindicated by what it produces. It's simple, straightforward, and it's easy to remember. True wisdom is vindicated by what it produces. If you study the span of King Solomon's life, you will find that the products of his life did not always live up to the expectations of the wisdom for which he was endowed. In other words, wisdom can only go as far as you engage it. Yes, true wisdom is vindicated by what it produces. So with that, the New Testament provides us with some great instruction to help us measure what is the right thing or wise thing to do. So the Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15 through 17, this is also in your handout. "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is." Now that is the formal New King James Version, but I'll also do a loose paraphrase from the New Living Translation. "So be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. Don't act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants you to do." Again, what is the wise thing to do? This is the great question. So let's consider this question by remixing the question itself in chronological context. So number 1, the present. Number 2, the past. And number 3, the future. As we do, it is my hope that these questions will bless you by becoming a standard part of your operating procedure as a leader. So number 1, the present. In light of my current circumstances, what is the wise thing to do? Asking this question provides us with clarity and instantly eliminates unwise options, let alone the foolish ones. It challenges us to choose what's best and what glorifies God the most, and not what is comfortable in the moment. It's much easier to ask questions such as, is there anything wrong with what I'm doing? Or how close can I get to the line between what's right and wrong? These questions are weak attempts to justify poor decisions, and in other words, we are really just deceiving ourselves. Many things in our lives may be considered sinful or wrong, but they can often place us in compromising situations. So by asking ourselves, is this decision wise, we minimize the chances of compromise and avoiding these regrets. Number 2, the past. In my past experiences, what is the wise thing to do? In light of my past experiences. Everyone has different tendencies and temptations based on their genetic makeup and their upbringing. Because of this, we must take our past experiences into account when making decisions. While certain things may cause you to struggle, other people will find it completely normal and vice versa. For example, if you take a history of alcohol addiction, you may want to decline your coworker's invitation to the saloon every night. It's not wrong to go to the saloon, but if you have an addiction, it's probably not the best situation to put yourself in that might reawaken that addiction. And finally, the future. In light of my future goals or aspirations, what is the wise thing to do? The decisions today will directly or indirectly affect your future. I've seen too many people, including myself, make poor decisions in their teenage years and find themselves reaping the consequences of their actions well into adulthood. When making decisions, you must also ask yourself, what's the wise thing to do in light of your future goals or aspirations, whether it be professionally, financially, relationally, spiritually, or physically? Also, don't hesitate to seek advice from people in your life who are more experienced and wiser than you in a given area. This provides you with a broader perspective, helping you to formulate a decision based on the advice that you receive. So I want to now kind of give you guys some personal testimony. And I want to start by, again, thanking my parents. They're just obviously a rock in my life, foundation in my life, and have always steered me in the right direction. They gave me, a great education throughout my whole life. Always integrating me with adults, family, friends, and most importantly, just how to be a good man, how to make wise decisions. And there was a point in my life that was sometimes you learn from the past, and I think a wise take on that is not to repeat the past. If you make a mistake, don't do that again. Don't make the same mistake twice. And in making wise decisions, there's a big element, at least to me, in how not only does that affect myself in the present, the past, and the future, but also how does that impact others. And a lot of people in this room might not actually know this, but I had a very misfortunate instance in my life when I was 21 years old, all to my doing. I made a very unwise decision. I had just turned 21. A few months later, it was a big event at Penn State, Blue and White Weekend. And as college students, like to drink a lot of water. And, excuse me, we weren't drinking that much water, actually, probably should have. So I made the decision to drink and drive. And in making that decision, I put myself in a position where I had to make a phone call to my wonderful mother at 3 a.m. in the morning, saying, "Mom, here I am. I'm at county jail, and I don't know what to do." And this is after being fingerprinted and all that. And so I ended up spending 4 days in jail. And after that, went through a whole year, almost to the day, of legal, just through the legal process. And what that did to me and my family was just put us through this turmoil of what's going on, here we are, and this is so, it was not normal. And it was something that I put myself in by making a very unwise decision to drink and drive. And without getting into too much detail, at the end of that, fortunately nobody was hurt. I just kind of took it to the next level, basically didn't stop. So that doesn't work too well when it comes to the legal system. And ultimately had to spend 45 days on top of the 4 in jail. And what that taught me was a lot. And freedom, for one. I mean, when you're on somebody else's schedule in a 8x10 block for 24 hours a day, it teaches you a lot. And freedom, it's truly a testament to the great country that we have. Is it's built on freedom. And when that's taken away from you, sometimes in that position, you're kind of the only real place to truly understand what freedom means. So, again, I put myself in a position that just, shocked myself, shocked my family, and it was one of the best learning experiences that I ever had, and something that I'll never repeat. So, I kind of forsake the wisdom that was bestowed upon me to get me in that position, but it's something that, I will never, ever repeat again. And, the impact that it had on my family and friends was immense. So, in closing, life is too short to live aimlessly, so you don't settle for less. Choose to make wise decisions and live the best possible life that you can, not only for yourself, but also for those that you love. So that's it.
Amen.